crowds witness a finely tuned, carefully orchestrated program of military precision. Each action and movement is scripted and well rehearsed, leaving nothing to chance. But prior to the jets taxiing down the runway, there's months of planning and coordination, all beginning in the office of Blue Angel number 8, Events Coordinator, Major Chandler Seagraves.
Our job is planning all 35 show sites every year, from start to finish. Obviously, like anything, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. That's what I like to do. I like to be behind the scenes, working and putting all this stuff together. We have an air show every weekend, and number 8 gets to come in no matter what day it is and get the show site ready to brief the team on Tuesday. All the operational side of what's going to happen at the air show, I take that show site folder and I hand it to number 7, and now he's responsible for it.
Number 7 is Justin Otto, the show narrator, who serves as the point man on each road trip. This time, he's heading out in advance of the team's longest stint, a 3-week tour that will take them to Oklahoma City, Anchorage, Alaska, and Traverse City, Michigan.
We're leaving Wednesday, a day early. We're going to Oklahoma City. We're going to start with a brief for the air show committee. And really what I'm doing is I'm going to go through all of the checklists that they've been working on for the past few months. Because tomorrow is such a compressed timeline. Everything has to be in place when everyone gets there. So today's pretty busy. Get there about 8 o'clock this morning. I'll try to get done about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. And it's all said and done. So looking forward to it.
2 hours later, Otto arrives in jet number 7 to oversee final preparations. Each show site typically presents some distinct logistical challenges, and Oklahoma City is no exception.
It runs the gamut, everything from hotel rooms to rental cars to the aerobatic box. You know, how big does that need to be? We work with the FAA. We work with local air traffic carriers, you know, the commercial airlines to deconflict their schedules so that they could actually shut down an airport for an hour so we could go flying. There's so many variables, you know. It's always a different field. There's always a different ramp to park on. The runway's different. The show line looks different. The geography is different to a team. So one of the things that we try to do, and the reason we send a guy early, is we try to minimize those variables, and we try to make the show site look as familiar as possible.
First on Otto's agenda is fixing the show center point, the location on the ground the pilots will use to guide their aerial maneuvers. Center points must be large enough to be easily spotted from the air. Here is a 72-foot tractor trailer.
The airspace that we have is a 5 nautical mile ring around this truck. Everything is centered around that one point in space.
We have a square. Yeah. And do you
the
have
guys have
any
been looking at this since the beginning of January in El Centro, so they're very comfortable when they see that, even though they might be in Oklahoma, for instance, this weekend.
Next, Otto has to make sure no aircraft will enter the 5-mile cylinder around center point during the show. That's not always clearly understood by local officials.
He actually does a performance, and he uses the whole, all the airspace. So I'm not sure if that's going to work. You know, maybe there was a disconnect, some miscommunication somewhere along the line. So now you're putting out fires trying to make sure that A, we're legal to fly the show, and B, you know, it's safe. Other airplanes aren't going to be in the airspace while we're flying. So, you know, just a wide variety of things that go on Wednesday.
With the first air show 72 hours away, Otto relies on diplomacy and tact to keep things moving.
I appreciate you guys hanging out. Let me take care of a couple of these, and we'll get some stuff. Certainly a lot of unique challenges, and when it runs smoothly, it makes you feel good. You know, when it's not running smoothly, it makes you work a little bit harder. But it's definitely a complex thing to put on an air show in a brand new spot.
Making it work is critical because today the entire Blue Angels team descends upon the show site. Thad Albert, the Blue Angels C-130 transport plane, leads the way. On board for the 2-hour flight from Pensacola and the 3-week tour, 40 crew members along with 25,000 pounds of equipment, including spare parts, communication gear, personal luggage, and of course, Patrick the Starfish. Not long after, the Blue Jets arrive. With 48 hours before Saturday's show, the pilots must get familiar with the new site quickly. So it's right down to business, with Boss jump-starting the pre-practice briefing.
Welcome to Oklahoma City, everybody. And here's your Boss debrief with our transient briefers. Sean and I will circle. We've got 45 minutes, so we'll get done when we can. Fuel, we got just a couple minutes. I just want to go right around. I just want to see the roll line, crowd left, crowd right. Okay.
The briefing helps with some details, but most important is the circle and arrival, where pilots fly to acquaint themselves with the airspace and terrain, noting key landmarks or dangerous obstructions. Flight Surgeon Gary Mullen plays a key role in the process.
We take this, what we call a circle sheet, and each one of these marks, this is a mile, mile and a half, 2 miles, and 3 miles. And when the pilots are flying their lines, what they do is they fly 360 knots so that every 10 seconds is a mile. They'll say standby marker right when they go by center point. And they tell us every 10 seconds what it is that they see out of their cockpit.
A mile and a half in the middle of the Cloverleaf intersection. Mark 3 miles, the blue storage shed by the clay field. 2 miles is the crowd right side of the shed with the green roof. 1 mile is the sign right next to the highway, which also is next to the tree. There's about 9 base pipes out there in the yard. Tracking is 2.5.
They'll say 1 mile mark, the red barn with a gray roof, and we write that down. So we do that in all these different directions, and then what they do is they take these checkpoints and they find them on the satellite imagery, and then they mark them on the satellite picture and study those tonight. That way when they're flying the show, they know that if they're over the red barn with the gray roof, that they're exactly 1 mile crowd right at center point.
First the diamond, and then the solo pilots fly their lines for circle and arrival. It makes for a very busy day.
Typically, Thursday for us, we transit on Thursday morning to the site where the air show is going to be. We do circle very shortly after we arrive, and then we do a full practice after that and a full debrief. So we call it Black Thursday for a reason, because they're pretty long days, but it's a necessity in getting things done, and we have to do the full practice as well.
For most of the Blue Angels team, Oklahoma City is the first stop in an extended 3-week show tour. But for Dave Varner, this is a homecoming.
David, how's it feel performing for the home folks? This is great. I got my goal to get back here at one point, so to be able to come back here, in a Blue Jet representing sailors and Marines, it's more than I had hoped for.
Why the Blue Angels for you, and what is the thrill of all this?
We are the recruiting tool representing people who are over there defending the freedoms that we are enjoying and sometimes take for granted. Really puts an extra kick in you to come out here every day and try and do your best.
As a Blue Angel, recruitment is never far from Varner's mind. Growing up in Oklahoma, a long way from any U.S. Navy or Marine base, he's the type of individual the Navy wants to find wherever the team tours.
Every week there's somebody in the crowd line that if he's sitting up there looking at us, oh wow, that's great, and then all of a sudden he hears, hey, El Reno, Oklahoma, that guy went to my high school. I think it just strikes a chord that's a little closer to home.
Thank you. There you go. What part of El Reno?
My family still lives in El Reno. My dad owns a business there.
It's just awesome that you can step a little inside the circle.